Actually breathe in my nostrils to make me move.
We have fewer democracies in the world today than we...
Fewer, not more, fewer.
President Biden, can you hear me? That's a serious question, right?
And the President of the United States, Joseph R. Biden, Jr.
Let's go lick the world.
So the meltdown continues in the world of the Zionists. So they cannot lose control of the narrative, right? Because if they lose control of the narrative over the Israel-Gaza, they will never be able to deploy another army in the Western world ever. And that's coming from the head of PALANTIR, which I'm going to show you in a second. But here is Jordan Peterson. He's back to try to rescue the Israeli narrative and shame Joe Rogan. So the same people who screamed about, you remember when people like Don Lemon and Andrew Cuomo would say, we got to have guardrails on podcasts. Now he's here to tell you the same thing because people are telling you the truth about Israel. And he gets paid by the Daily Wire. He gets, which, Kurt, correct me if I'm wrong, that money, how much money did he get?
What I heard was 60 million.
That you heard he got 60 million.
Yeah, and that's why he's dressed like a tailor, because he's going to try to sew up the narrative that's been tearing.
Anyone dressed like a movie theater usher in his day-glow blazer is a pretender. But anyway, so listen to what he said to Joe Rogan. He says all the things that they complained about establishment media, corporate media saying about Joe Rogan during COVID, he's now going to do. But he does it in a lot of words, uses a lot of words. Watch this. And so Douglas Murray was the bad cop. And now Jordan Peterson is the nice cop. He's going to try and butter Joe up, but try to get him to put guardrails. Watch.
You also set that conversation up, but it poked up and made itself manifest in that conversation. And the issue is, how do you identify the psychopathic pretenders? And it's even worse now.
How do I identify the psychopathic pretenders in this argument? The people who justify slaughtering children for land. To me, those are the psychopaths. Anybody who justifies a genocide in Gaza has a bit of psychopathology in them. Would you agree, Kurt?
I mean, it seems a little bit the pot calling the kettle black. I think he has guardrails on his lapels for this interview.
So here we go.
You also set that conversation up, but it poked up and made itself manifest in that conversation. And the issue is, how do you identify the psychopathic pretenders? And it's even worse now, and then make a barrier, right? Now, the right was calling for the left to do that for decades, and they didn't, and they couldn't. And the left is not good at drawing barriers, partly temperamentally. The right is somewhat better, but there's no shortage of monstrosity there. And so then the question is, how do you draw the line? And that's kind of what I was, because I've been watching these right-wing, they're not right-wing, these psychopathic types manipulate the edge of the conservative movement for their own gain. And a lot of that's cloaked in anti-Semitic guys. There's plenty of...
Oh, so anybody who disagrees with the Israel narrative is a psychopath cloaking it in anti-Semitic garb. I mean, come on.
What's the gain? What's my gain?
What? Right. What is my gain?
I don't get guitar money.
Right. I don't get. Nobody gets paid from guitar. Dave Smith doesn't get money. I don't get money. Joe Rogan doesn't get money for going against Israel, which is the worst.
It creates problems. It makes things awkward. That's what it does for me.
It makes things awkward. It makes, just like me telling the truth about COVID. Didn't get me money. Got me the opposite, telling the truth about Russiagate. The people who got the money from Russiagate are the people who wrote books pushing Russiagate, and they were invited on every TV show everywhere. That's where the money is. The money is in the establishment narrative. Right now, the money is, I mean, according to Kurt, he got $60 million from the Daily Wire, which that's got to be Israeli money, right? Where does that money come from, Kurt?
I don't know, Jeremy Boring's poor management.
Yeah, okay.
You know, it sounds like the gig comics go to in Israel, where they overpay you and the crowd stinks, okay? But they pay you like way more than it's worth for the show that you just did out there. And then they're like, hey, please say good, nice things about Israel. So it's just a form of like, propaganda work. I think when he talks about like how something poked its head out and manifest, I swear I think this. All his wild color suits is his cognitive dissonance and having to hold these two things
Yes.
in his head. And it comes out in his suits. I swear to God, I think that's what that
Well,
is.
how many more trombones does he have to add to dressing like a music man for you to figure out this is a performance? Here, let's watch. Let's watch.
Anti-Semitism on the left too, by the way. So it's not unique to the right.
Well,
but
particularly now.
yes, particularly now.
Right.
And so, you've let your curiosity guide you, your curiosity and your desire for knowledge, this quest, you've let that guide you as a podcaster. And by the way, I'm trying to work through exactly the same sort of thing. How do you know, given your radical increase in stature over the last 10 years, how do you know when your curiosity and even your skepticism about the fact that things aren't the way that people say they are, because that's certainly been demonstrated in the last 10 years, how should anyone decide what guardrails to put up? Like, what do you...
So, Joe, you're letting people come on and tell the truth about Israel. We've got to stop. They're psychopaths, they're anti-Semites, and they're on the right even. So you got to put guardrails up. You got to stop this, Joe.
I would like to do a debate and not debate anyone. I would like them to convince me to not see the things I already just saw.
Yeah. Yes.
Like...
This is real. Like, he's really doing. He's like, how do you got to get some guardrails there. You got to get some guardrails, which is exactly what Don Lemon used to say on CNN. It was exactly what Don Lemon told Elon Musk.
Did he dress like Captain Kangaroo to do it?
look for? Do you have a conceptual system worked out for that? Like,
And
because
what in the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
Do I have a conceptual? How do I do? Joe, you've got to have this is the old. You've got to have standards. You got to have guardrails. You got to censor. You can't let anybody. You can't just have free flowing conversations on your show, Joe. And he loved it up until someone started telling the truth about what's happening in Israel, Gaza. And someone started telling the truth about Israel and how every war we've ever fought in the Middle East is at the behest of Israel. Iraq was because of Israel. Libya, Israel. Syria, the whole thing. Now they want us to go into Iran, and they really got to get us into Iran. And that's why they're doing this. This is a full court press that's happening. There's a full court press by the Zionists. We got to get into Iran. We got to do it. We got it because they have the Greater Israel Project.
Yeah, that little bizarre neocon alliance, their two big projects were Ukraine and then the Israel thing. I think that's what the mutual cooperation is about. And now that the pyramid scheme is collapsing, if you recall, what do you have to do when it's collapsing? You have to go to war to get out of it. You know? Hey, we lost $2 trillion. We got to go to war. Hey, the Great Depression, we got to... FDR's thing didn't work. We got to go to war. It's always the solution when the bottom drops out of the pyramid scheme.
So... here's what Glenn Greenwald says. He says, so many longtime champions of independent media now subtly mimicking the most sanctimonious corporate media mavens. Rogan doesn't have sufficient editorial guardrails as soon as he hosts Israel critics. This show needs more vetting. Too much unfettered discussion.
Why don't you invite them to be guardrails, and then Jordan and Douglas Murray could be guardrails?
They did.
Right?
He brought out
Douglas. You could
Douglas.
be the guardrails, but you're not. You're going, you got to stop this.
You got to stop it. Douglas Murray was right there. He's had on Gad Saad. He's had on Douglas Murray. He's had on Elon Musk. He's had on the biggest Israel cuck of all, Donald Trump. That's just
Dr.
in the
Rich Voss.
That's just Dr. Rich Voss. That's just off the top of my head that he's had on in the last few months. But he brought on Dave Smith, and oh my God. Psychopath.
If that is his name. If that is his real name.
If that's his real name. So this guy says, like Cherubis in Greek mythology, is that how you pronounce that?
Cerberus.
Cerberus? I'm not well read. How do you say it?
I like that better, Cherubis. Cerberus.
Cerberus? Okay.
Yeah.
I like Cherubis.
Me too.
Like Cherubis in Greek mythology, the multi-headed guardian dog of the Judeo-Christian asylum patrols the culture scene and makes sure that no one leaves the world of the dead. They use obfuscation, confusion, and fake sophistication or complexity, classic sophistry, to sow doubt and hide the plain and bright light of the truth and morality. He's got it. This guy's nailing it. Murray, Patterson, Sam Smith, Bill Maher, and many others, they are all different heads of the same monster, dog guarding the same civilization of the dead. Well said. So he's retweeting this, and Andrew Torba, who says Peterson is on the Rogan today. He's there to try and gaslight Joe into gatekeeping the, quote, psychopaths who dare to criticize Israel and from being on his show.
You see, if you say Jews in Israel, I think that's a real big mistake.
I think that's a mistake,
very
too.
Questionable.
Yeah.
Like, why are you saying that? You see what the problem is, and the people that you tell me are bad, they're trying to conflate those two things.
Yeah.
Or you on
I don't
different
conflate
sides or
Jews
not?
with I don't conflate Jews with Zionism. I don't conflate Jews with Israel. Most of the Jews I know are against Zionism, and they're against what Israel's doing, the Greater
don't live in
Israel
Israel.
Project. What's that?
Most of them don't live in Israel.
And most of them don't live in Israel, and they feel very safe. They don't need Israel to feel safe. He claims these people do it for their own gain, when in reality, they get debanked, demonetized, and endless. Yes, that's correct. So it's hard for us to tell the truth about Israel. We get demonetized, our videos. We can't show pictures. We can't show the videos of what's happening in Gaza. And so why this full court press? Why is this so happening now? Why does Bill Maher and Douglas Murray and New York Post and now Jordan Peterson, why does all of these, and Constant, whatever his name is, all these people, just full court press trying to get Joe Rogan to stop talking about Israel? And here's why. This is the head of Palantir. And this is from about a year ago. I showed at our live Rumble Time show. And he's going to tell you why this is the most important, essential fight. Because they can't lose the narrative around Israel-Gaza. It's because this is when the college protests were in full steam. And this is what he said.
What I think is a often overlooked part of this battle is we kind of just think these things that are happening across college campuses especially are like a sideshow. No, they are the show. Because if we lose the intellectual debate, you will not be able to deploy any army in the West ever.
So this is not a sideshow, what's happening at these colleges, these college protests. They are the show, because if we lose control of the narrative, we'll never be able to deploy an army in the West ever again.
Well, that's how you win. They lose the narrative. That sounds great.
So that's what this is all about.
Who's we, by the way?
Well, so he works for the CIA. That's what, so Palantir he's the head of Palantir, which is a CIA, yes. Just another CIA cutout. And when he says we, he means the globalists and the international security state and the military industrial complex, the people who actually run the world.
Right. His Palantir named after the evil crystal ball from Lord of the Rings.
That's right, correct.
You can spy on anyone, but it will make you insane and evil.
Yes.
That Palantir.
So here, I'm just going to play it for you one more time.
I think is a often overlooked part of this battle is we kind of just think these things that are happening across college campuses especially are like a sideshow. No, they are the show. Because if we lose the intellectual debate, you will not be able to deploy any army in the West ever. And of course our adversaries. What I think is a...
So there you go.
I guess you better not debate.
Yeah, better not debate. So Jordan Peterson went on Fox after that. And he accuses anybody this is from Chernovich. So I think Chernovich is on the right side of the Israel question. Am I wrong about this?
I don't know. I haven't seen him in a long time, but I remember him saying it seemed anti-Semitic to say Epstein was working for Israel.
Oh, really?
So, but I don't know. He does what he feels. So,
well, here's
this looks right to me. What he's saying right now.
He says Jordan Peterson is accusing people who disagree with him on foreign wars of being mentally ill. This is Stasi level stuff. He also wants to tie Christ the King to sociopathy and terrorism. Let's listen. Hang on, what happened? Do I not have this video?
I think the most important thing to do first is to draw a distinction between the political and the psychological and not to collapse them together. So imagine this. Imagine that there's a group of individuals, about 4% of the population, who have a set of personality characteristics that have been described as dark tetrad. So they're Machiavellian. They use their language to manipulate. They're narcissistic. They want unearned social status and reputation. They're psychopathic, which makes them free of empathy and parasitical and predatory. And they're sadistic. So they take positive delight in the unnecessary suffering of others. Now, those people also use false cries of victimization, let's say, to manipulate, and they're entitled.
That sounds exactly like Israel. It sounds exactly like Benjamin Netanyahu. It sounds exactly like the Zionists. They're the victims. Anti-Semitism, they're the victims.
He shows up with his dry cleaning and draws a cartoon picture of a bomb to show your Congress.
Seek vengeance when it's unwarranted, and they protest loudly and make very public cries for reparations that would be self-serving. Okay, now the way
isn't that what the whole Israel project is, reparations for World War II? Isn't that the whole? Am I wrong about this, Kurt? Isn't that the whole idea that they needed a safe place?
I guess we didn't want to make it official because it doesn't make sense that would be the reparations, but kind of. I never looked into it because I was like, well, I don't know, World War II. By the way, I think the Holocaust happened 100% because it would take a crime that big to generate this kind of pure spite, hatred, and vengeance. You know what I mean? To put that into somebody's subconscious like that, where you're like, these are the Amalekites that we could just wipe them all out.
I just think does Doug Stanhope know that Jordan Peterson's raiding his closet? Anyway, here we go. They're all narcissists. They're so narcissistic that they have to wear thrift store clothing so people will notice them. Anyway, here we go.
Those people operate is they look for what patterns of belief form groups that they can infiltrate and then capitalize on. And that happens on the right. We did a report, the same group, on the use of Christ as king as a manipulative strategy by bad actors, hypothetically on the right. And
so is he saying Candace Owens, a bad actor? She's a psychopath who infiltrates because she claims Christ as king, her religion. So this is how desperate they're getting. This is called desperation. They have to control the narrative.
Well, Jordan Peterson is really weird when he starts talking religious stuff because as far as I know, he's not a Christian. But he really, if you want to talk about infiltrating people, I'd say the guy saying the Freemason shit.
This report identified the same sort of people on the left, but it's not primarily political. They're wolves in sheep's clothing who look for where there's power and value and then adopt those beliefs as a surface camouflage so that they can elevate their moral status. Now, and this has become worse in recent years as far as I'm concerned because the evolved strategies that we have for dealing with these psychopathic narcissistic types don't work well online. And so the psychopaths can get away with their terrible manipulations online, and they can find like-minded people, and they can escape from any reputational consequences. And so there's always been psychopaths. Those are the Pharisees, for example, that Christ points to, the religious pretenders. Those are the people who use God's name in vain and claim moral virtue and even religious devotion. Well, all they're doing is feathering their own nests and furthering their own narrow interests. And the web, social media, anonymity, enables them to organize and also hides them much more effectively. And this is a problem in religious organizations. It's a problem in political organizations, and it pathologizes the whole culture. Most people, 80% of Americans agree on virtually everything. And then there's these fringe people, and they're not political. They're psychopathological narcissists who cloak themselves in political guise. And we all have to learn to distinguish between the political and the psychological. We're not good at it.
So here's what Glenn Greenwald says. How come Rumeysa Öztürk, that's that woman from Tufts University, I think, a foreign national in the United States legally, is in prison for having written an op-ed critical of Israel, but Jordan Peterson, a foreign national in the United States, is free to praise Israel and call Americans who oppose it psychopaths? And Douglas Murray, too. So you're not a psychopath if you're pro-Israel, slaughtering children and committing a genocide and cutting off water and killing over 200 journalists and bombing refugee camps. Even Wolf Blitzer was freaked out. Remember that? That was over a year ago. Wolf Blitzer was talking to a guy from the IDF. He goes, so you just drop a bomb on a refugee camp because you think there's a terrorist in there?
This is the tragedy of war.
This is the tragedy of war. No, but you know that there's innocent women and children there, and you just bomb them?
He goes, did you get the guy? He goes, I cannot confirm.
Then Wolf Blitzer said, did you at least get the guy? He goes, no, we don't know if we got him. But you did kill 400 children.
Yeah, it's a tragedy.
Yeah,
it's a tragedy. Don't be all narcissist about it, Wolf.
So those people, the people advocating for that, they're not the psychopaths. Mm-hmm. The people who are writing op-eds criticizing that are the psychopaths who deserve to be thrown in jail, according to Jordan Peterson. So there was a lot of things Jordan Peterson has said in the past I liked, and I was glad he was there to say them. But again, this Israel thing completely collapses the right, or a big chunk of it. The people who were free speech warriors, they completely collapse under the weight of Israel.
Well, some do, some don't.
So yes, lots of them though, but not all of them. That's for sure. Even Christians. So and here's how this is why they have to control this narrative. Even Christians are waking up. My parents lead a Bible study at an assisted living facility, and 4 ladies older than 80 years old started bringing up what's happening in Gaza and saying they are against it. It took 7 months, but it's happening. So they're losing the narrative to everybody.
Yeah,
and by the way, here's what...
Too hard. Oh.
Hey, partner. That's what Kurt has to say.
Hold on there, partner. I had the marshal had to come in on George's tweet. I thought he was being a little bit Pharisaic. That story he told is crazy. That the person for saying Christ is king is the one who's...
Yes.
Are you joking? Versus a guy who's not Christian at all. For some reason, he talks to Christians, and he's paid by the Daily Wire to do that. That's very strange.
And he just keeps using that word psychopath over and over, as if he's not describing himself in this situation.
Oh, I think he's like a white zombie, like the classic.
He's. You could tell because he never overreacts to anything, and he just has that blank look on his face. He's talking about his monsters, not yours.
He's projecting Jungian. I mean, it's crazy watching it.
It is. This is like Jung 101. Here's what Dave Smith says. I've always admired many things about Jordan Peterson, particularly maps of meaning, and his initial rise to fame, taking on the woke insanity. I was pleasantly surprised that he complimented the 3 of us from the debate on Joe Rogan. That's about as good as I could expect from the Daily Wire employee. I was a bit surprised at his take on keeping these psychopaths away. Now I'm just a non-expert comic who's never been, but it seems sloppy for our clinical psychologist to just throw out a mass diagnosis like this. He's mentioning the Groypers as falling for this category. I certainly have my issues with them, and I can count on their leader to trash me anytime I'm making waves, but this just seemed incredibly unfair. The Groypers are guilty of big. Who are the Groypers?
Well, I mean, here I'll appraise them psychologically, and yes, I am an expert. They're like repressed tradcath, like slender gay men online that follow Nick Fuentes, the Catboy Fuhrer, as he's known.
Okay.
So that, and he's actually an example, by the way. He does suck. I think he was because what he did on January 6th, urging people in.
Yeah.
I think he was on the hook where he has to do this, and he doesn't like doing it and would like to stop. But all these guys in that organization are deeply repressed gay incels. It's really crazy.
Okay, so he goes on to say the Groypers are guilty of being immature and saying mean things about Jews on Twitter. And while I don't like that, I wouldn't think it rises to... I didn't get the whole thing. I wouldn't think it rises to the level of such a claim. If we are truly interested in calling out psychopathy, why not start with the people dropping bombs on babies and advocating for more? How about the people signing bombs that are on their way to do just that? How about the people who have advocated for the last 5 catastrophic wars and despite being wrong about all of them are advocating for the next war? Why not have one standard and apply it across the board? That was really well said.
Yeah. By the so-called Dave Smith.
The so-called
if
Jew.
That is who he is.
Yeah, the guy who claims Jewish heritage.
Like a colonist.
So Ian Carroll says, Dave, just to clarify, I believe I am psychopath for saying don't kill kids. And Mr. Fine is a U.S. congressman for saying, may the streets overflow with blood. Hope that clears things up. So there's a U.S. congressman, this guy, Representative Randy Fine, who tweeted out, kill them all, no mercy, bombs away. And then he said, there is no suffering adequate for these animals. May the streets of Gaza overflow with blood. But he's not the psychopath. The psychopaths are Candace Owens, Dave Smith, the Ian Carrolls, the Jimmy Dores, the Kurt Metzgers, the people who are against bombing children.
I haven't really gotten... A lot of people say anti-Semitic things to me. I think a lot of people think I'm Jewish. But this is like he blood libeled himself. This is the kind of thing, if you accuse him of saying it and he didn't say it, it would be like, that's a serious blood libel.
Yeah.
This is crazy. This is like something you would think enemies of Jews would write to make them look bad.
Yes. This, I already got that. Okay. So there is another, and so again, let's remember why they have to put this full court press on and why they have to project their evil onto other people who are against the evil. Because that's what this is. And they want guardrails. Guardrails? On Joe Rogan's show? You mean to think that you hated before, but now you want because somebody's telling the truth about Israel? This is the guy. Remember this head guy at Palantir, CIA.
I think is a often overlooked part of this battle is we kind of just think these things that are happening across college campuses especially are like a sideshow. No, they are the show. Because if we lose the intellectual debate, you will not be able to deploy any army in the West ever.
And that's what these people are about. They're about you. That's why we have 900 military bases around the world. That's why we have like 400 of them surrounding China. That's why we have hundreds of them in the Middle East and Africa. Because that's how we do things. We use our military to overthrow governments, install puppets, steal their natural resources, and slaughter their people in the process. Okay.
But then China will have the resources, Jimmy,
yeah, I know.
I'm just saying what the great Condoleezza Rice said.
Yeah.
Do you want Russia and China to rule the world? Somebody has to rule the one world government of the future. Why is that a conspiracy, and yet they all seem to believe we need a one world government, and they say it, and then when somebody brings it up, they go, that's crazy. You're making a conspiracy. But they all believe it.
But they all believe it. Okay, over to Steph.
Okay, thank you so much. All right. Dobther, thank you, Dobther. Much appreciated. Fantomas, Fanto, grazie. Ard Dreamy, where does the plane pop back into space time? Or maybe the better question is, when does the plane come back? Savage, thank you so much. Lightning Strike. Building 7, thank you so much. Fantomas Fanto, again, thank you very mucho much. Pocho Villa, there was a 1989 sci-fi movie called Millennium of an airline that disappeared like the Malaysian plane. Check it out. Thank you for that one. Fake account, the blue spirals been seen in the night sky are 100% 0-point energy. Tests if this footage is real. Fake account. Thank you.
Hey, I have a question.
Yes.
What?
Has anyone brought up who was on the plane? Do we know who was on the plane and their level of importance in this world?
There was these scientists that were bringing some intellectual, property to China.
You can show Jimmy.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what that was about.
Oh, what a coincidence.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were, what was it? What was that group that they were from? I forgot. Okay, here we go. Back to this. Mutahar from YouTube channel Some Ordinary Gamers debunks this with solid proof. The portal animation is an asset from a video asset collection. Chris the Ish.
It is not the same asset. That debunking has been debunked. But whatever.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Building 7, if LSD was human. Oh, okay. Thank you, Building 7. All right, here we go. Hey, Shadow Military General, we need to wormhole them now, and someone get me a fresca. Phantomus Phanto. Ask him about Corridor Crew's debunking of this video, and then we just responded that Diadin. Kyle, maybe Jimmy should start smoking weed again. I don't think so.
Why should I start smoking weed again?
Chris D, the unvaccinated, knows what's up. There's one reason alone that I'm not ready to accept this man's explanation of what happened in the missing airliner. It would involve accepting that Don Lemon was right. Fret Pound.
Fred Pound, I said that same exact thing. Was Don Lemon right all along?
That's what we want to know.
Because he said that, and we all called him a fool.
Yep.
I think we still call him a fool. Dave Domingos, it's important to wash your orbs. Watch your mouth.
Wash your orbs.
You have to get Dr. Stephen Greer on the show. He knows far more and has been briefing our president since Clinton. Unacknowledged and The Lost Century. Watch them. Please. Ashton is spot on too. Ask her. It's the Unacknowledged and The Lost Century.
Yeah, he has some good info, but he's like real big on this like Buddhist, all the aliens are friends, and you go to a retreat and then you all concentrate and then you'll see like lights. It sounds like a Ouija board to me, which is kind of creepy. But I'll bet they've had all this tech for quite some time. As soon as you have anti-gravity, you have time travel. You automatically have that when you have anti-gravity technology. I saw Mark Andreessen being interviewed by Megyn Kelly. Somebody can find it and he was told, no, he's a piece of shit, that guy. But he said he was told that the government classified a whole branch of physics for 70 years because they were telling him not to get into AI because they're only going to let a few people do AI. And he goes, well, how can you even control that? He goes, we closed off a branch of physics for 70 years. So yeah, we can do that. So I heard that story, which is strange. Then that guy from the White House made that announcement, which I'd like an explanation for.
Right.
Yeah.
That came from the White House.
I don't know what, like I said, if you think it's all debunked, I want to know what you think the Satanic Panic was, if you think that was a debunked, because it was not.
Okay. I forgot to give you the gong, John. John, you got the gong. Thank you for your generosity. Liquor Giant or my wife, please. Please. Oh, okay. Let's see here. Oh, I read that one already. Got it. All right. Zekeness. Thank you very much, Zekeness. Much appreciated. All right. Let's do this. Kurt, what's our next op? Fret Pound wants to know.
Oh, I had it. Shoot. Where the place where Frank Zappa grew up, Edgewood Arms. Edgewood Armory.
Oh,
That's
really?
where they did a bunch of LSD and Benadryl testing on American soldiers for MK Ultra, bunch of Nazis. And Frank Zappa's dad worked for them, and that's where he grew up in Edgewood Armory.
Okay. My_war, if you spent thousands on a massage, then you must have got the John Travolta special, which is the massage and tug.
No, it's burgers. You get a burger and a massage.
I wonder how much extra Klaus has to pay for wormhole to mouth happy endings. Callaway.
Okay.
Back to Jimmy.